Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Rip City Real Talk with Anthony Blaylock and Craig Moshkow. We are going to be doing an all-star edition. Kind of some exciting Blazer stuff happened over the weekend, so we weren't even really planning on doing an episode this week, but we had a 3-game win streak last week, and yesterday was really exciting. And Anthony said, let's do a pod today. So we decided we're going to do it, and we also want to do a little teaser for what we might have coming up this weekend too. So, what's going on, man?
Yeah, lots of good stuff, bud. Happy to have you back on. I don't know where this nonsense came from where you think we weren't doing a pod. We have a dedication to the fans. They are just chomping at the bit. I had
Yeah.
like probably 5,000 people reach out today and be like, hey, you didn't do your podcast on Sunday. It's like, I know, dear fans. The 3 people that fired my comment on Bleacher Report, I get you. I'm coming in hot with some sweet Blazer takes on the All-Star break and the turnaround of our losing streak. It's because we did I told you, if we don't do a pod every week, the Blazers go 0-4. And then when we do the pod,
No, you're right.
we're back on a 3-game win streak. So
It's all because of us. I mean, we've got their effort in check. We've done some coaching. We've done the X's and O's. We got them dialed in, man.
I tweeted at Dame. He's thinking over his response. It's been a few days. It was really good. It was a good tweet. So
he's been busy, doing Dame things in the clutch of the All-Star game there.
Yeah, he's bringing Dame time to the All-Star game. That was pretty sweet.
It was pretty sweet. So let's do the games real quick. Not real quick, but let's go through them. So last week we ended kind of a rough stretch. We had 3 games, and you and I were hoping to go 2-1. What I mean by 2-1 is we had Charlotte, which was a game we sort of thought we would get. Golden State was 50-50, and then we played the Kings. And boy, oh boy, it actually was a little stressful. Charlotte was a blowout. And you said Melo had, I think his season high 29 in that game, right?
29. Yeah, he was big down the stretch. It was kind of one of those games that, again, they kind of get in that stretch where it's like he gets to 6-7 points, he maybe get to double digits for a while, and they just kept answering. I talked about turnovers and that one being a big key because of the amount of guys that they have that can handle the ball and pass the ball, just off fast break and turnovers, and they did exactly what I was worried about doing. I think we're just a little too lax with it, a little too slack with the ball. Turnovers came into play. We kept them in the game for the most part until, honestly, right about that stretch in the fourth quarter, about 5-6 minutes ago, when we just started bombarding the 3-ball. And when I say bombarding the 3-ball, I mean breaking the franchise record and 3-pointers made.
Yeah.
That's something, man. That's something right there. And we knew we had a 3-point shooting team. It's our main form of offense. We have a lot of guys that can shoot the ball, but I mean, it feels like we have a lot of good shooters every year, and really it's been a lot of the Blazers offense for years, and to break the franchise record that's something. That's
wow.
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool to me personally.
It was exciting to watch, especially because we were breaking a losing streak, so we hadn't won a game in a while. And then you talk about how efficient we shot in that game, right? We were just mashing the threes. Melo looked really good. Gary Trent looked really good. I think Hood got a couple of clutch buckets. And then Cantor, I don't know what his stats have been. I don't know the last time he didn't have a double-double. I mean, he has been a monster.
Yeah, you were talking about one of the best rebounders in the league, and he's not going up against super weak competition. I mean, he's had guys like Jokic and Embiid recently, and he's still getting rebounds, and he's rebounding over these guys and getting in position. And, I saw a thing today with some fans that were talking about when Nurk comes back. He'll probably start off slow, but how they're going to really start to divvy up these minutes, the chemistry that this particular lineup has, and whether or not you're going to actually put Nurk back into the starting lineup for a while, if you're going to let Cantor just continue to run and let Nurk come off the bench. I think, obviously Nurk's probably going to start again, but not enough can be said about what Cantor's given to the team and the value of that trade that looks better and better as you deal through injuries. And just look, the guy it's been insane.
Yeah, he started a blaze on Twitter the other day. A Blazer Twitter kind of blew up, and basically there was a small segment of fans that thought that Nurk should sit when he gets back and Cantor should remain starting. I agree with you. Nurkic has a different skill set. He's a much better defender overall, and he's a much better hub on offense. He doesn't get the offensive rebounds and the putbacks, but it's what we need right now out of Cantor, he's doing his job. Nurkic has a different gear and a different level that we can use him for. So I do think fans forget how good Nurk has been at times. I mean, Nurkic fever that year he got traded over, he was just a Bosnian beast, and we need to unlock that again when he's healthy.
Yeah, and I think he's been able to keep up with conditioning now that it was a
Mhm.
hand. We kind of stated that earlier in the year, and versus a leg injury. So it's not like he's going to come in and be out of shape. I mean, he's
Yeah.
been able to do the cardio, and it's just going to be getting again the rotations, the chemistry down that he's lacked with some of these guys because
Yep.
we've seen the improvement from Jones and Covington, especially on the defensive end.
Mhm.
Well, it's another wrinkle when you have to put Nurk back in there, and he's got to learn,
Yes.
where to be. They know what Cantor's going to do now. They know where he's going to drop, what his skill
Mhm.
set's going to be, where he's going to line up, and where he's going to help from, and what level of help he can give.
Mhm.
So it gives them the ability to kind of play a little more loose and know what they're going to do. As soon as Nurk comes back, he's a little bit slower.
Yep.
He's a different type of defender. So
Mhm.
Covington and Jones are going to have to reestablish that chemistry in the positioning with him and when the
Yep.
help and get a lot of that back down. But I don't think it'll take too long. And I think Nurk was really starting to show those flashes of old Nurk
Mhm.
before he got hurt. I mean, he was really starting to get his shot back under control. I mean, we saw
Sure.
him shooting down the court, diving after balls. The hustle was coming back. I mean, he gives you the playmaking ability. When he screens against the ball,
Yeah.
he's able to pass a lot better than Cantor can.
Yes.
Uh, he's not as efficient as Cantor down low, but he can definitely hold his own and still get you 15 points a night easy if he's getting the
Mhm.
touches. And this screen game's going to be better. The pick and roll game's going to be better.
Yes.
So
He's
I
more
think he's
dynamic out of the pick and roll too. I think Cantor out of the pick and roll, he rolls and like Danny said, he puts his hands out and he wants the ball, and he's a good finisher around the rim. I mean, he's a very good finisher around the rim. But I think Nurkic is a lot better passer. He's a lot better screen setter, and he's a good pair with Dame in that pick and roll, right?
Yeah, and he has a better chemistry with Dame, I think. I mean, we can talk about the win streaks and how good the team's been doing with him out, what Cantor's been able to put up. And fans got to remember, you're just going to get that back on the bench. You're going to get that same energy on the bench. Then that's going to be just so valuable. Like playing with guys like Trent still, who he's been playing
Mhm.
with as a starter.
Mhm.
He's played tons of minutes with Carmelo now. He's been in a lot of those lineups with a couple of these guys because they've kind of been forced into bigger roles.
Yeah.
And that's just going to do nothing but to benefit that bench unit. I mean, outside of a couple of guys that haven't got a lot of playing time that could,
Yeah.
you're going to see a big difference, I think, when they get to play together versus having them start. So
Yeah.
I
So
definitely Nurk suited for them.
how did you feel about the defense against the Charlotte specifically? Because they have pretty good shooters. They can be hard to guard at times, although they were down Gordon Hayward in that game.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that can't go unsaid. I mean, that's a
Mhm.
big deal. Again,
Yep.
one of those guys that will talk about how many guys they have that can handle the ball,
Mhm.
the problems that they present to people, and that's a big one. I mean, he's averaging what 5, 6 assists a game.
Yeah.
It's a big deal for a point forward when you have guys like Rozier and Lamelo out there playing with them, and you can't double one guy because they're going to throw it around too quick.
Mhm.
It also gives them a lot of 3-point percentage that they're losing, not having them out there. So overall, they're just loose. They're a young team. They were loose with the ball. I mean, LaMelo makes some ridiculously flashy passes, and it's great and fun to watch. But at the same
Yeah.
time, they had a lot of turnovers. They gave us a lot of opportunities that if they wouldn't have given us those opportunities, who knows? I mean, we're definitely not getting the amount of threes we got up. We're definitely not kind of running into our groove and getting a pace down that we liked.
Yeah.
But they keep giving us the ball back and let us kind of stay in that tiny little cushion of a lead we had. And, eventually we do what we do and
Yeah.
shot them out of the game.
I think we were the more experienced team, and we got on a really good shooting night. I have a small quiz for you. Are you ready?
Small quiz.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Okay.
So in the next game, so we're moving into the Golden State game. Who played the most minutes of any Blazer in that game, and what was the minutes?
Who played the most? Oh,
I
okay.
think you're going to be shocked when you hear this answer.
I might be, but I'm gonna go with Trent. And I want to say that he played either 39 or 40.
I hate you. 40 minutes. Gary Trent Jr. was the number one Blazer. I hate you so much. And then the second one was, and that surprised me because his stat line was fine, right? It was like 15 and 7 or something like that. Like the stats were fine. But Covington played 38 minutes. And something else that we need to talk about is over the last couple of weeks, Covington is getting a lot more steals and blocks, but he's also been rebounding a lot more, and he's hitting a lot more threes. Covington has really kind of found a groove over the last couple of weeks, and we need that to sustain.
Yeah, I was talking about him with a friend, and we were kind of discussing just different players and their roles and kind of comparing them to some stuff. And I compare him to like a, because I think they actually said it in one of the games. They were kind of
Mm,
doing the same comparison that made me think about it. But I compare him to like a free safety in the NFL.
mm,
A guy going to like a new team, having to learn the system, the zones, the defense that team wants to run, the personnel around him. It takes time, and then you see that transition about 8-9 weeks into the year,
mhm.
transition to about half a season of NBA. And now
Yes.
you're starting to see coming to feel more and more comfortable. He's getting that chemistry down where these guys are going to be defensively, and
Mhm,
you're starting to see him play a lot more loose. He's starting to react faster.
mhm,
He's starting to read where the ball's going to go. He's not freaking out and worrying about where he needs to be and sinking in as much as we've been seeing him sink in.
mm.
He's
Yeah.
starting to trust Cantor to get back and play that role. He's starting to trust Jones to cover from the other side. So you're starting to see, in my opinion, a lot of the just comfort coming back. We talk about the big C
Mm,
words all the time, and confidence was one of them. And now it's comfort.
mhm.
And to me, comfort's been a big deal because the chemistry has just been a weird mess all year at the Blazers with the injuries. I mean, two
Agreed.
starters down. Obviously, Jones missing time, and Covington had the concussion, and it's just crazy to think where they're at with the chemistry. But you're starting to see these guys get back in a role that they're comfortable with, and
Mm,
now I'm starting to see them play a little more loose. The last, honestly, 2-3 weeks, even in the losing streak, the amount of big plays that he's been making, like you said, the
mhm,
blocks and the steals, just knocking the ball around, is
mhm.
because he's able to play a little more loose and he's starting to react a little bit more freely. And it's, yeah, it can't go again unsaid. It's one of those things
Yeah.
that you have to think about if you're watching the Blazers right now. Is his level of defense has stepped up.
Yeah, he's been huge. And I think you're talking about confidence and you're talking about his role. He's really found a place where he can shoot it too. If you've watched this week, this last week, especially before the All-Star break, he was letting it fly. I think he was 5 of 5 in one game and he was looking
Yeah.
really confident. He's shooting over
Charlotte
guys.
game.
Yeah, the Charlotte game. I think he missed a couple at the end there, but they were just kind of putbacks. But he was from the field. He was 5 of 5 or 6 of 6, maybe even 8 of 8 at one point. I can't remember. He was shooting the lights out. It was really good to see, and it's good to see him get confident with Dame, and it's good to see him get a role that he feels comfortable in. I do think that a rover safety from football is a good way to put it because in the last two games. He was really helping Cantor down low with some help defense, and you could see him getting comfortable with when he should transition. So I think you nailed it right there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it affects everybody because now that he's getting a little more loose and feeling a little more free, you're starting to see Cantor play a little bit better. They're
Yes.
starting to all kind of get in this zone together. I mean, we saw, I don't remember, I think it was the Golden State game. No, it was the Kings game where he got the blocks in the end and he
Mhm.
started to play that defense that really put that game away. I think he
Yeah,
had 2 blocks in a row, and that's huge. That can't go
huge.
that can't go overlooked. I mean, it's
Yep.
like a big deal with him is his knock his defense. Like he's not a good defender. He's
No.
average, but that hustle, and then as he starts to play with more comfort and more confidence down there,
Yep.
you're starting to see him make some defensive plays to go along with those rebounds in big game situations. And that's a lot of that has to do with the way Covington and Jones have been playing.
Yeah, that game was crazy. So if we transition to the Kings game real quick, Cantor had 22 points and 21 rebounds.
Yeah.
That is absurd. And then also the other thing that I wanted to point out about that game, Dame had 44 points. And by the way, he's averaging 6 assists per game, which is a career high. Dame has really stepped up even without CJ helping him out and helping run the unit. Dame has not stopped on his offensive game at all. He's improved a lot this year.
Not at all, because obviously the Charlotte game was kind of a blowout there. When they started hitting the threes in the end, they just put them away and they put them away fast, especially with Melo. But the Golden State game, it was just close the entire time. It's again third time playing a team. You play a
Yep.
team 3 times, you start to learn what each other's going to do.
Hmm.
I know there's not the same personnel in every game. Like second game we played them, they were just getting Draymond back.
Yeah.
Now we just beat them pretty bad the night before, so there's a little more fire in them in that game. And this game is a little different. So they come out, they've been playing all right, not great, all right.
Hmm.
It just kind of seemed like it was gonna be one of those games where Curry and Dame were just gonna start going back and forth. You felt like, okay, here's just the third game is for the series, and Dame just didn't do anything. He just started off so slow. He's missing shots. He wasn't comfortable. They were throwing the double at him every single time
Hmm.
he came down the floor, and it was really tough sledding for him to get going. And then, just like you said, and then you start to see what he does, the offensive
Hmm.
game that he has. He hits that three, and it's like, Okay, you know what? It's from the logo. He did it right in Bazemore's face.
Yeah.
And that's where you started to feel like doesn't matter how many times a guy like that takes a shot and misses or how frustrated he is throughout the game. He gets that kind of a shot in his hands. You're going to give him that kind of a shot. He's eventually going to hit one, and he hits it at the biggest moments. And then, as much as you talk about Dame's offense, I mean,
Yes.
how amazing of a defensive play was that to take the charge on Draymond?
Yeah. It was incredible. And, I think to put your body on the line like that when you've played 38 to 40 minutes that game and you've had this offensive workload that is just massive on your shoulders all game, and then you have to draw a charge, and your charge that you like when we talk about putting our bodies on the line, if you want to stand in front of a 6'9" Draymond Green while he's got a full head of steam, I don't think you understand how much guts it takes to not flinch and not try to, like, I mean, there's a world where Dame could have just ducked underneath that, let Draymond hit the layup, and then go try to shoot another shot to win the game. That's what most people would have done. That's what most small guards would have done. So it's incredible for us to watch Dame, who's tiny, 6'1", 6'2", to put his body on the line on a huge all-star like Dre. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, the amount of leadership you got to have, and
Hmm.
as much talk goes into how bad he is on defense. He's not the greatest defender, but to have that kind of basketball IQ, to realize that Draymond's going to take it on you, to be able to get over there, get your
Yeah.
feet down outside the restricted area, and take that hit. I mean, it was close. I mean, he was close to not
Yeah.
being set. I mean, it was right there,
Yeah.
but he got there in time because he was able to read the play and knew what he was going to try to do.
I feel like in that situation, if and this was the argument on Twitter all day the next day, his feet don't have to be 100% set, but he has to establish position with his torso before Draymond does. But if you watch it, like he gets set and then Draymond comes in with a full head of steam and just bowls him over. Like in
Trying to
my
jump over.
opinion, if Dame did that to, or if we had like Covington do that to Steph Curry, I would think that's a foul. You know what I mean? Like what's that little guard supposed to do? I just think it's a silly thing.
Yeah, yeah, but at the same time, I mean, it's just part of making the plays. Like that's
Yeah,
part of being a guy and go out there and taking that and be able to realize that and get in the position. I don't know. He took
it's
over the
incredible.
team. It's awesome to see him hit that three after struggling with his shot all night, and
Yeah.
then have fortitude to go down and then take a play like that. Like, I mean, you're
Mhm.
going to be hyped up. You just hit a huge three to put your team up by three. I mean, then you go down there and you just take a hit and win the game.
Yeah. And that 3 over Bazemore was insane because he had been cold all night. I mean, Dame had been cold all night. Golden State did a good job of trapping him. They have good defenders, long defenders. They threw a lot of different looks at him. In that Bazemore set, he's way deep, and then he's got to go back into his left. And as he's fading away, Bazemore gets a hand up. I just think it's incredible how the difficulty of that shot and how hard that shot actually is.
We kind of got Bazemore standing there for a sec. I think Baze thought he was going to go around him, and I think he realized it a little too late. I think he knew
Mhm.
that Dame was kind of shooting a little poorly, and I think he thought Dame was going to try to go and draw the foul or
Force it.
get around him and get to the rim and make a play there, because that was really the only success Dame was having. Really, was driving and drawing fouls. So
Mhm.
he kind of hesitated, got Dame or Bazemore to freeze, and then then just goes back. And by the time Bazemore reacts, I mean, to have that kind of confidence to hit a logo three at that point in the game,
Yeah.
it takes a special person, and it takes a
Yeah.
special type of fortitude to be able to do that. And I guess that's why we traded Bays,
Could
because
you could you just like envision what Portland, because that game was at home, right? Could you envision what Portland's like, what the crowd's be doing at Moda this year if Dame is hitting these game winners like this? I mean, him taking that charge, the fans would have gone insane. It would have blown up, dude. It would have registered on the Richter scale.
that that would have been
Oh,
that would have been something. And that's frustrating because those are the types of games that
yeah.
we're just not getting to be part of as fans, and it's
Yes.
so tough. It's such a good year, and there's so many close games,
Yeah.
and you're watching Dame just hit clutch shot after clutch shot after
Mhm.
clutch shot after clutch shot, and then not be able to be there for a lot of these. It is tough, but
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's just one of those things where it doesn't phase these guys. Like, he's just still making these types of plays, and I'm so stoked to continue to watch it. And he did the same thing in the Sacramento game. I mean, again, he's coming down and hitting big shot after big shot at the end of the game. I mean, the clutch play of Damian Lillard right now is
It's insane.
It's insane. So that kind of
And
covers that.
yeah, that covers it up. I mean, I think when you look at that 3-game stretch, we're hoping to go 2-1. At this point, we're 21-14, fifth in a loaded West. We get a nice break. And what I mean by break is Dame needs some rest, but also CJ just got reevaluated this last week. And they said he's not ready yet, but they're going to reevaluate him in 1 to 2 weeks.
He's
Nurkic, like you
cleared
said,
for full contact. So he's cleared to
yeah,
start doing full contact
contact.
practice. So now it's just a matter of conditioning, testing the foot out in practice situations, how it's recovering. So he's definitely back soon. And
Yep.
Nurk is getting ready to. He's only about a couple weeks away at this point.
Yes.
He's healing a bit better than they thought he would be.
Huge.
So that's going to make a big difference. The only thing I'm concerned about, great, we went 3-0, and that's huge on this road trip. My only concern, and the one thing that worries me, is all three of these wins. Well, I guess I haven't looked at Charlotte, but I don't know where they are in the East. But
they're like 7.
yeah, so they're against non-playoff teams. They're non-competitive teams. Charlotte probably won't do much in the playoffs. I mean, even if they get in, it's great. But the Kings that close, Golden State, they're not a playoff team right now. And then you get handled pretty well by Denver, Phoenix, and the Lakers.
Sure.
So you play against 3 of the top teams in your area, right in your seeding position, and you get just whooped on by them. So it's great to come in and be like, 3-game win streak. That's great. We went to the All-Star break with some momentum. But the second half of the schedule is brutal. It's so brutal. And then you know that you're going to be coming into the situation, and you know that you're going to have so many teams that you're going to be playing against that are just going to be tough. And I don't know. I want to be happy about the win streak. I want to be that guy that's super supportive with it. But at the same time, you didn't look good against the good teams. Took care of the bad teams, but you barely took care of the bad teams.
Yep.
Like if it wasn't for Dame and Lillard, you don't take care of the bad teams.
Well, and I was just going to say every game is close, right? I mean, except for there's been a couple, maybe 2 or 3 losses and 2 or 3 wins. The Charlotte one was probably the best win of the year as far as points differential. But all the games are close. And I think it's close because, number one, we don't have a lot of scoring threats outside of Dame. Like, he's our most consistent offense. And then the other thing is, when you look at defensively, we've struggled in a lot of these games because I just think that there's been some communication problems. I don't think we've had good switches. I think that there's been times where Jones has been trying to isolate a little too much on their best player. Sometimes he'll try to shut down their best guy, and I feel like Stott should throw doubles a little more. But we've been close in every game.
Yeah.
So I have a question. I got a question for you, and this one's going to be kind of a big one. So Rodney Hood right now is getting between 24 and 27 minutes consistently. I don't think he's had more than 1 or 2 games this year that I would call good games for Rodney Hood with those 25 to 27 minutes. What would you do?
I'm removing him and I'm putting Nas in. I mean, Nasir Little has been playing extraordinary for the role that he's been given to play at this point.
Yeah,
you're starting to see him get more minutes, but he's bigger. His jump shot looks great. He's hitting threes. I mean, he's going to have some, efficiency issues here and there. Last game wasn't great, but there's still so much potential that's pouring out of him right now. The hustle, the defense. He's able to drive. He's drawing fouls. To me, he's doing what Hood should be doing in that kind of a role, and he's doing it better, and he's bigger. He's got a little more length that he's getting out there. I just feel like he's going to be the future of this team. He's a first-round pick. You're starting to see kind of the role that Trent played last year before the bubble when we had some injuries. And you're starting to see this next young guy come up and really start to kind of get a role with the playing time. And the more playing time that he's going to get, better. He's going to keep getting better. Yeah. And I really think that he's going to be that backup small forward for us, and eventually you're starting to see him potentially become a viable third, not third, but starting small forward for us in the future if we decide to move on from Jones or what have you. So I just don't see a world where Hood should get those minutes. And when you get the guys back, you got to think Trent's going back to the bench. So you're going to have Trent, Anthony, Carmelo, and Cantor. And it really comes down to who's going to play those minutes at the small forward and kind of get that perimeter role. And I think Nas so far has deserved it more than Hood deserves it with what they've been doing with their playing time.
Yeah, when you integrate CJ back in, because CJ was playing a ton of minutes. When you put him, just him, not even Nurk, I'm not even talking about that yet. when you put just him in, you're talking about the odd man out. Simon's playing time is probably going to reduce. I think Gary Trent's numbers are going to reduce a little bit, but I think Rodney Hood's going to get totally cannibalized by CJ coming back, because I think you should play Nasir Little in his 15 to 18 minutes per game role. I don't think Rodney Hood has done anything well enough to play. The only thing he's done consistently is a little bit of long range, mid-range game offensively. Defensively, there's nothing. He's not providing you with anything that looks good, and there's not a lot of good shooting coming out of it. So I don't know,
No.
man. It's a weird fit.
And he's doing a lot of ISO scoring. That concerns me with how Carmelo gets his offense. Carmelo's been definitely, in my opinion, a lot better at passing and moving to the rim, and I think he's getting a little more juice under his legs here recently. He looks a little bit better. He's not just standing there, jab, and shoot, but it's still his primary form of offense. And you can't have him and Hood out there at the same time, keeping the ball in their hands. Not when you have a shooter like Trent, and it just can't do it. And Anthony is starting to kind of get his role as an offensive player. You can't have two of those same type of player out there. And so I just kind of think I'd rather like get Nasir in the corner and start having him hit some threes with Trent and getting that attention and being able to get those minutes to come out and give you a better defensive role than I would.
And the offensive athleticism that Simons and Nasir Little can provide you. We've seen Nasir Little drop 30 this year, and we've seen Simons hit some huge threes. And obviously, we're going to talk about his slam dunk championship he just won yesterday. So the kid's got raw athleticism that you want to see unlocked. Rodney Hood doesn't. Rodney Hood looks like Evan Turner 2.0 to me right now. He's just got no bounce, no lift, no elevation in those legs. So I don't know.
Yeah, and even so, at least Evan Turner played a little better defense and play make. I just don't see Hood doing anything right now except for hitting a couple jumpers here and there. And yeah, he's a little bit of a post-up game. It's just not enough. Like you can get that out of other guys. You can get offense out of other guys. And with his contract expiring, I just kind of feel like he's a trade piece. I don't know if you're going to package him with somebody, what you end up doing with that. We'll talk more about that here in a couple of weeks. But I just don't see a role where he plays any kind of meaningful minutes with the team going forward, not with the way Little's been playing. And part of it's energy, part of it's just the injury that he had and coming back and trying to get that level of energy up. And part of it's just his role. Like he's not being used enough to really get hot, to really kind of get a feel for the game. It's just not in him. And that's kind of what he was supposed to be, was that offensive guy. And the way Carmelo, Anthony, and even Trent have been able to score, you don't want Hood to be your fourth scoring option off the bench if that's all he's going to be able to do. So I think he needs to reduce his role. I think they need to start moving a little. I think we're starting to see that more and more as he kind of came back from the injury. And I just don't see a world where, I don't even think Hood personally, I don't think he makes it past the trade deadline. We'll talk more about that. But if he does, even in the off season, I think they try to move him to help somebody else save some cap for him.
Sure. So in the last game, Sacramento, we finish up, we go 3-0. Blazer fans are we're going crazy on Twitter. Everything's great. Dame drops out of the 3-point competition. In retrospect, that's probably for the best. He needs rest, man. He has just played so many minutes and he's been so clutch for us. I'm glad he's getting the rest. So we had Covington play in the skills challenge. What'd you see from him?
I don't. He lost to a center, man. I'm sorry. I'm with Dwayne Wade on this. If you listen to him talk about it, it's like this was a guard dominated thing. Like centers just won't stop winning. Whether it be the 3-point ball or they're just hitting their pass on the first try because they're just super tall. I don't know, but he got beat by a center. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know, man. The skills challenge to me is a joke. I just don't like it. There's no world where if they're trying 100% and they're actually giving it some effort, that Chris Paul and Luka Doncic lose to Sabonis and Vucevic, whatever the heck his name. Yeah. I just don't see it. Chris Paul made a layup or missed a layup, for goodness sakes. So the whole thing is a joke. I think Covington got in for the reason that he was an alumni from Tennessee State and or Tennessee Tech. I don't know, whatever. One of those
Tennessee State. Yeah.
State, right? Yeah. But it is what it is. I didn't expect much from him. He was the lowest in the odds to win it. Could
Mhm.
have put a couple dollars down and tried to win 800. That would have been cool. But I just,
Nice.
yeah, I just didn't see him doing much. I will say it was really cool of him to come out and give the scholarships to those two students.
Mhm.
I think that, he kind of said it himself in his little speech, but using the platform to do something pretty cool like that, that was, I think, why he was brought in. It was to do something cool like that and kind of just have I don't know, a special moment to be included in the All-Star game. And that was
Mhm.
kind of his role. They just found a spot for him, and he lost to a sinner. They all lost to a sinner.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah,
These
not
big men are
impressed.
skilled, man. I mean, they're just skilled now. So Sabonis he's got some moves. So then going into the 3-point contest,
It's a
I
three.
think Curry was the favorite to win it. I mean, he'd already won a 3-point contest.
Yeah.
So what happened in the 3-point?
It just, I mean, it was just kind of one of those situations where it was pretty close until the end, and then Curry had to kind of hit. He pretty much had to hit every one of his balls in the last round. I think he missed the one,
Hmm.
and then he hit his final ball to hit the 29 just to barely win it. And it was actually more dramatic than I thought it would be. It was pretty
Yeah,
fun. I caught the end of it. I didn't get to see the whole thing, to be honest with you. So because
yeah,
once Dame dropped out, I don't care. This is Rip City real talk, not NBA real talk. I'm not national media, so I don't care about 3-point contest if Dame's not
yeah,
shooting it anymore.
yeah.
Besides, Dame had a 3-point contest. It was called the All-Star game, and we'll discuss that in a sec. So yeah, good for Curry. I mean, competition was okay. I mean, the three
Yeah,
point contest is probably still the most competitive in my opinion out of all three of
definitely.
the competitions. It's probably the most fun to watch because it's timed and there's a little more pressure on these guys, and I think they
Yeah.
take it a little more seriously because it's easier for them to do. And so it was fun.
I think I like the 3-point contest because it is timed and there's pressure. I don't like the pressure of the dunk contest because I feel like they have to come up with this really creative idea. And it's like if you don't like their idea or you don't agree with how they did it, you find the dunk either boring or mediocre. What did you think of the format of the dunk contest though, with the judges picking the winner in the final round?
I think that's fine. I mean, I think you can only score so much because eventually the scores are so close that it's like,
Mm.
eh. So you score up until the point where you get the two guys in the final dunk, and,
Mhm.
and I kind of like the whole you have to win the majority there. I think that was sweet. I liked it better than
Mhm.
the scoring format. I agree that they either need to have a certain amount of dunks they're allowed. Like you get 3 dunks. If you don't dunk it,
Mhm.
all right, bud. Like I
Mhm.
don't tell you. Or at least have it timed. At least give them 30 seconds. So they have to hurry up and run back. And I don't know. They can sit up there and dunk as much as they want till they hit their dunk. It's like that's cool and all, but
Yeah,
I'm sorry, if he misses it 3, 4 times, like he shouldn't get another dunk. I don't
right. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, no pressure, like you said. And it kind of, in my opinion, it hurts some of the creativity because I feel like you really have to come up with something cool each round in order to hit your 3 dunks,
Right.
or you get your 3 dunks to hit one of them, and it can be something a little more cool, but it puts a little more pressure on them. I just don't think that pressure, it bugs me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting this year. And then the other thing is, so I mean, Anthony Simons is an elite dunker. He's very good. And Obi Toppin was really good too. But what like the Stanley kid has never dunked in an NBA before, the Indiana kid. And I don't understand why they don't have repeat guys. Aaron Gordon versus Derek Jones was a phenomenal dunk contest. Why don't you have them in
He
it?
was already there.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want to do it. I'm sure they probably asked some of these guys. I mean, you had the
Yeah.
COVID restrictions this year, so I'm sure there was some that had something to do with it. But yeah, I don't know why they don't. I mean, hats off to Anthony. He won it.
Yeah.
Uh, in my opinion, all he did was jump high.
Hmm.
Great, it's cool. I mean, that's guy's like 6'4" and he kissing the rim.
Hmm.
It's pretty cool to me. But I agree. Like you have Derek Jones on your team. Like, why is Derek Jones not? I don't know. Why is he not exactly? Why is he not repeating? Why is Gordon not going out there and repeating? Like, if you're gonna have a weird COVID year and you're only gonna have 3 guys do it, these guys are available to do it. It just doesn't make sense to not
Yeah.
have them unless they turned it down. I mean, we don't know. For all we know, these guys were taking the break to go spend time with family or go travel or do who knows, do something. I mean, I know there's COVID restrictions, but we don't know what the whole deal is with it. Uh, but man, can Anthony jump? I,
Yeah. I
you
I
don't have
liked him.
appreciation for it. You don't see him ever do it in a game, but
Yep.
man, when he finally gets a chance to just unload, like we've seen highlights in practice and
Yeah.
stuff. Good grief!
Yeah, that was crazy. I like the one where he picked it up off the backboard and then jammed it. I didn't like the kiss dunk as much as that one. I thought the kiss dunk was a nice attempt and it was original.
Woo, if he would have actually kissed the rim, but you're flying in that fast. I don't.
He couldn't kiss the rim. It was COVID, man. He couldn't get COVID.
His the foot away from the basket face flinch just tells me how fast you're coming into that. That alone, you notice it as a fan, but in real time, when you're going up and you're doing that, I mean, how fast that rim approaches your face.
Yeah.
It does look
like
like
to get your arm. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just it was an incredible dunk. I thought Obi Toppin's dunks were really good too, but I thought I really truly believe Anthony Simons won that dunk contest. That was his dunks were so good.
Athleticism than open. I mean, or Toppin, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Obi Toppin's like 6'9", 6'8", something like that.
He's just long. Of course he can dunk. I don't know.
Yeah.
I did learn, and maybe I'm just not a good enough NBA fan for this. People are gonna judge me, but I did not know that Tracy McGrady played for the Raptors. I learned that.
Oh,
yeah, I did not.
You mostly think of him as a Rocket.
Well, Rocket, New York. I believe he played with the Magic for a while. Like that's what I remember of him. I guess I just don't remember him being in Toronto. I don't know. Yeah. But I thought he was doing the Vince Carter reincarnation that every single other person does, and I was very disappointed until I turned around. I'm like, that's Tracy McGrady's. I had no idea. So yeah.
It was interesting. He brought some flair to it for sure, and Anthony's the first Blazer to ever win it, which is dope. The All-Star game, I thought the All-Star game itself was actually really fun. It wasn't
as good as last year, but it was fun.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as last year, but I mean, it's defensively, it's always kind of a disaster, right? Like Giannis went, what did he go? 8 of 8, 16 of 16 from the field.
Yeah, and he hit some threes in his defense.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, it's just crazy to me. But I will say that they brought some kind of cool flair to it. So Curry, CP3, and Dame made a pact where the three of them were all going to try to dunk an alley-oop dunk and shoot a half-court shot in the game. Did you hear that?
I didn't know that was an official thing.
They talked before the game.
I thought it was just Dame and Curry responding to my tweet when I told them that they need to take their half-court shot. I assumed that was all me, and they probably like, we got called out by Rip City Real Talk. Like, they don't want to look like bums in front of them. They have quite a following, and so obviously we need to show up and show out for them. And
yeah, so they tried to make a pact. So and Dame and CP3 both threw down their dunks. I think Curry did too. I think they all three threw down their alley-oop dunks. And I didn't see if CP3 made his half-court shot, but he did.
Half-court shot. I know. No. I don't think he even took one, or if he did, it wasn't even make it.
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is I've had this debate with some friends before. I'll leave them unnamed. We had a discussion about who had more range, Dame or Curry. I'm not trying to say that they both didn't hit a half-court shot, because they both hit a half-court shot. I'm just saying Dame's was a little bigger, a little longer.
Dame's was behind the line. Curry's was over the line.
He was over by like 2 feet. I'm not not comparing the two, because I know our special guest, and a lot of other people don't want to hear about the Steph Dame rivalry and how that's all that the games are ever about. This game was between Steph and Dame. It was personal. Yeah. Dame made sure to hit a further shot back than Curry, and I'm not trying to be that guy, but it was more impressive. It was just a little bigger. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you who should be really scared is the entire NBA, because if Dame and Steph get comfortable from the logo and half court, the NBA is over. It's over. I'm sorry. There's no defending that. They were trapping him at half court.
I was going to say, Dame's going to get trapped at the inbound.
It's unreal. It's crazy. And they were, and it's not like they were missing them. They were literally making them, although they were pretty uncontested. I don't care if it's the
All-Star game or not, and if there's lax defense or not. That's still a half-court shot. That is, I don't care if you sit there and practice and just chuck them up every once in a while. The fact that he, two of them, just all casual, just super cash, just knocks him down like it was nothing. And that's scary. You're right. That's the first one. Okay, it's the beginning of the game. The first couple of quarters are always lax and more for fun. Guys are throwing it behind their back, having a good time. But the fourth quarter, they tend to play a little more aggressive. It's a little more real of the game. They kind of have a little more fun with it. I think they kind of do that on purpose for the fans. They're not going to do that the whole time, but you get to that whole make it to 170 or whatever the number ends up being. They play a little more aggressive and more defense, and I think they take it a little more seriously. And so for Dame to come down and hit a half-court shot, just to ice the game after, mind you, hitting 8 straight points. He hit also they went into it at 159 to hit to the 170. He got all 11 points.
11. Yeah.
All 11 points.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if Giannis wouldn't have gone perfect from the field and hit threes, I think Dame would have got the MVP with 32 points. God, dude, that was a fun game. I'll tell you what, man. I don't know what Kevin Durant was drafting, and I understand that Embiid got like knocked out the morning
But
of the game, but dude, that team LeBron was stacked. I mean, it was ridiculous top to bottom. Jokic, I
Giannis,
mean,
Jokic, Curry, Dame,
Luca.
Luka.
I
Yeah,
mean, what
the
is going
starter
on?
for the record. Luka started over Dame.
Yeah, and he played like 31 minutes in the game and got like 8 points. Give me a break with this Luca garbage. He's not in Dame's stratosphere at all.
Yeah, I'm sure next year the fans will probably vote for Luka again over Dame because that's just
So
what they do.
over it.
Big enough market, right? Where they had the whole Stephen A. Smith thing saying that he wants Dame out of Portland and then that whole debate. And I kind of want to talk about that as we kind of transition out of the
Yeah,
All-Star game a little
let's do
bit.
it.
Discuss that was obviously a big deal, right? It was a big video clip. It started to kind of explode on social media. And Stephen A. Smith comes out and he says that Dame, he feels bad for him and he wants Dame in a bigger market like the Knicks or the Lakers or
Sure.
the Clippers or in LA or New York or Miami, one of those big markets. And it kind of begs the question as we kind of get into some more serious talk here about how the NBA manages something like that. Now, Dame's probably not going anywhere unless we get rid of him. I really do feel like it's become part of him to just be the loyalty thing. It's not just a word anymore. Even if he wanted to leave, I think that's kind of his mantra. Now he can't for himself. This is part of what his legacy is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't end up winning a championship, then he needs to stay with I played for the same team. I had the loyalty the entire time, and that he can hang his hat on at the end of the day. But it begs the question for not just Dame, but other guys, other players in these markets. I mean, obviously, Giannis signed the Supermax and he decided to stay in Miami or Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big deal because he had a chance to get out after this year and really go play for the Clippers or one of those teams and kind of leave Milwaukee where he's hasn't had the most success in the playoffs and hasn't made it to a finals. And there's a chance to get out and he stays. And it's kind of interesting because they talk about that and how Dame's inspired some of these guys like Giannis. They talk in the offseason to stay with their team in a small market, man. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's a really weird thing because I do think these guys want championships. We've watched over the last 5 years, you watch a guy like LeBron who wins all these championships and you watch someone, but then I think on the flip side, Dame watched Kevin Durant and he watched Kevin Durant go from the guy in Oklahoma City to being a guy on those Golden State teams. And he wins a ring, but everybody felt like that was an all-star team anyway, right? So when Dame is looking at that, he had a quote the other day, and the quote was basically something along the lines of, everybody's told me my whole career Portland can't win it. So if we do while I'm here, what does that say about me as a leader, right? They've said, all the media is, all they've ever said is that Portland's a cute team that can never win it all. And Dame's goal is to get us there. Now, how he's going to get us there and what he's going to do, I don't know. But if he gets one ring in Portland, that's better than 4 rings on the Lakers. And I think that's his mentality.
Right. And you talk about competition and you talk about how these guys aren't playing in a competitive setting because they're not in a freaking super team anymore. And it's like, I almost feel like it's more competitive to stay on a team like Portland or Giannis in Milwaukee or whatever, to try to compete with that team and keep them up and like you said, do good in the playoffs or get a championship eventually. There's a different level of competition playing on a team where you're the leader and you have some good role players, maybe one other guy eventually, but not Anthony Davis, LeBron level. I mean, not that type of level. I mean, look at what Kawhi did in Toronto. To me, Kawhi going to Toronto out of nowhere, first year on the team, a 1-year deal. They traded all the chips in, went big, and he brings them a championship with his best supporting player being what? Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam?
Yeah.
Like that to me is more impressive than anything LeBron has done. Anything. And I won't take there's no disrespect to LeBron James. I mean, it's not a matter of disrespect. And the rings are great. You still have to go through the gauntlet in the playoffs and you still have to win it. But I mean, you play on one team with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. The other team's got Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh for years. Then you go and play with Anthony Davis. It's like, I mean, I get it, man. You still have to beat good teams to get to the championship and win. But I mean, I just don't see where, to me, it's as impressive as like what Curry's done. And Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are great. But that was a team that they drafted those guys. They didn't build a super team. They stuck together and they played as a core. They're not moving around. They're not teaming up with guys. I mean, yeah, they got Kevin Durant. I mean, like, sure, but they were winning championships before Kevin Durant, or they won a championship before Kevin Durant. So I don't know. I find it more impressive with what like Kawhi did personally before he joined the Clippers, and Paul George and every other player like that goes there. But I just think that's more impressive. And I think that's what Dame wants, is he wants to do that on his own team. He wants to have a supporting cast that's good enough to get him there, but he wants that glory. And I just think there's something old school about that. And I personally love it. And it's just crazy to me. These guys in the media want these super teams. Like they want 5-6 good teams every year. And it's like, be damned with the rest of the small market teams. Like, who cares? They're just there to farm and grow talent to be traded off eventually to go to the good teams and actually be competitive. And it bugs me.
Yeah. It bothers me too. I think, and we talk about this all the time because a lot of our games start at 7 p.m. on the West Coast. So if it plays in Portland at 7 p.m. and those guys out on the East Coast, they don't watch Dame at night. They don't get to watch the clutch shot. So they see the highlights and they probably say, damn, this guy's so good. But they don't get to watch him for 4 quarters the way you and I do every single night because we can. And that's a detriment to the NBA and that's a detriment to the fans. It's too bad that they don't get to see Dame. And that's why guys like Luka are first team all-stars and Dame is the first reserve off the bench because he doesn't get in the eyes of many of these East Coast fans. But the fact of the matter is, if you take Dame and you
Curry does,
and that's the thing that's weird.
He's done it, but I guess it's because they've had championship success, and I think that takes you to a slightly different level because, to be fair, I don't know how many people were out there talking about Stephen Curry before they won the championship. But like they knew Golden State was tough and they went at home. It's like, oh yeah, those kids are pretty good, but same level of like Dame respect, probably not even until they went and all of a sudden it's like this kid just shot the lights out of everybody and wins a championship. But maybe that's a little different. But yeah, I think you got something there. It's tough to get the East Coast crowd and they're bigger markets. We still have LA here. But I mean, Miami and New York and all those places over there, and they don't get to see Dame, and it's just, I don't.
It is what it is.
You have to go to a big market to get that kind of success either.
But the media wants to push him to those places because they want to see these guys. They want to see them play for historic franchises like Boston, like the Nets, the Knicks. They want to see them play for the Lakers and the Clippers, and they want to create these in-town rivalries. Portland is an isolated town in the Pacific Northwest. We travel more than any other team because we have to. We have to fly the furthest distance of any other team in the NBA. And, it's just they're bored in the media, so they talk about it. Real Portland fans and real Blazer fans know Dame is not going anywhere. He has the say of the organization. If he tells the organization and Terry Stotts, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, he is the man. Why would you want to go to a team where Kevin Durant, LeBron, Kyrie, Steph Curry, you're not the man anymore? You share that responsibility at best with your partner. In Portland, he's the mayor. He has the final say of everything.
Yeah, and I think that he's owned that. And it's just great to see. I know it was just an interesting comment. And, you see so many guys feel that way, and you see it's starting to kind of even out a little bit more. But I still feel like a lot of these guys want to try to do the super team with Harden pushing himself to Brooklyn. And I don't know, like it's interesting to see how a guy like Giannis is like, no, I'm gonna stay where I started. I'm gonna make that happen. And then you have Anthony Davis turn down a supermax to go play with LeBron, and he got his championship. And I don't know, it's just
such a bum, Anthony Davis. Go back to the Pelicans, you bum.
Yeah, Zion's better.
I actually like Zion a lot. They've unlocked something new with him this year. They're running like point Zion. Have you seen that, where he dribbles the ball up court and then he just goes at somebody like a bowling ball with a full head of steam?
Chubby Giannis or Chubby.
He's wild. He is nuts.
No one can stop like Giannis, but just a little bit chubbier.
Well, but when you see okay, so for example, let's say you have Steven Adams and he goes straight up. When Zion goes into his body, he's clearing space. No person should be able to humanly do that to Steven Adams, and he does it with ease. It's wild.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Okay, so I just wanted to get that off my chest. Get your intake on kind of the super team mantra and the small market mantra of these guys shouldn't be playing here, and that we're just farming teams to farm guys. The Blazers have been burnt by it before. I mean, obviously LaMarcus leaves and goes and does his thing and wins his championship. Clyde Drexler leaves and goes and wins his championship. And so I don't know. It's just interesting to see, like, I mean, Dame can talk it all day, but at the end of the day, like, when his contract gets up, does he think about, like, hey, you know what? I have some time. Let's go play in Milwaukee. Giannis is my boy, and he's still there for another 2-3 years, and let's go play with him and see if we can do it. And I don't know. It's just interesting because of how these teams, or how these media guys want these teams outside of Portland, obviously, to be able to see them all get competitive and group up together and have a couple teams, all the best players on them. And I mean, it's fun for basketball, which is annoying to say. Like, it's fun when you get in the playoffs and you have 2-3 stars, like superstars on a team. But it's for the game as a whole, for the NBA as a whole, like, it's rough. And you feel for a guy like Beal, who's trying to stay as loyal as he can to Washington right now. And they're like, hey, here's Russell Westbrook. Hey, John Wall, like, good luck. And they never are good. And you feel for him sometimes. But I think Damian Lillard specifically is in his own world because of how successful Portland has been. It's a little different than being on a bad team and your team's not doing anything regardless of how good your stats are,
Right.
versus being competitive on a good, small market team. And so I hope that continues to be the case, and I hope that he continues to talk that talk and all these all-star games, playing around all these guys like LeBron and Curry, and doesn't make him be like, yeah, you know what, we're not cutting it, guys. Like, this is the Russell Wilson approach. I'm like, go get me some guys, or I wouldn't mind being traded to these teams. Like, I don't know.
We'll see, man. The next 2 years are going to be pivotal. I mean, and I think this year could be a good year for us because we have all the defenders we need. We have the depth we need on the bench. I don't know. And I think how deep we go, the other problem is in the Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson era, there have not been very many Western Conference Finals attempts, and there hasn't been very much championships to go around. We've either been buzzsawed by the ridiculous super teams in the West, or we draw a really tough matchup like New Orleans, who throws a monkey wrench at us and sweeps us. So I think Dame's era is going to be defined in the next 3 years of this supermax, and we're going to figure out what we actually have here with this team.
Yeah, he'll be coming out of his peak at that point. So
yeah. But yeah, man, It's good. What else you got?
Well, I'm gonna do my my fun little segment here. I haven't still come up with a good name. I'm still working on Blazer explanation, but that's dumb. I don't like the name. I'm gonna think of something. Don't you worry. I'll get something eventually. But I'm gonna start with an Blazer, something that's kind of happened recently to an Blazer, and pull something out of the hat here and just get your take on it and discuss it. And we kind of talked about it a little bit, so I know I kind of gave it away earlier, and it was kind of your idea, but I'm gonna claim it anyway. So Mason Plumley, go Mason Plumley. How many Blazer fans remember that guy? Yeah, he was a thing that we traded for Nurk, if you remember, right? So Mason Plumley goes and he gets traded to Detroit. He's over in Detroit now, just playing with Blake Griffin, who's now in Brooklyn, and all these other star-studded, just banner-hanging Detroit Piston players. And he gets a triple-double. Triple-double.
Yeah.
What?
He was always an underrated passer. If you remember, there was one, I can't remember if it was the Pelican series or another series where we used him as this mid-level passer up at the top of the key. But I did not know he could get triple doubles like that. So he got triple double the other night, which was really cool. He's earned probably a lot more money than he should have, man. Mason has made a lot of money in his NBA career. It's wild.
So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Detroit gives us a first-round pick in Mason Plumlee for Yusuf Nurkic. And the wheel just keeps spinning. Around.
Cool.
And then we'll just have a guy like Jokic come in and start and be fine. But no, man, I'm happy for him though. It's pretty cool to see. Like, this is one of those journeyman centers that played in the bench for Denver forever and gets to go to Detroit, and now he's getting big minutes just because of lack of competition there right now. No more Drummond, no more Griffin. So triple. I thought that was pretty cool. That was
gonna
fun.
be interesting. So real quick, the buyout market. So Blake Griffin got bought out. The other two names I heard today, Andre Drummond is a big buyout name. The other one I heard today was Otto Porter Jr., who could.
Yeah, him up.
Would you want him to sign with the Blazers if he gets bought out?
Any other year, probably. And I was kind of thinking about this even when we start talking about trades, when that starts coming up. But it's a weird year for that because I kind of feel like any move we make right now to go get a guy like that, a vet or another piece that's going to get any kind of a decent role on this team, is going to hurt one of the younger players.
Yeah.
So let's say you do. Let's say you go get Porter on a $2.5, $3 million dollar deal. He just comes in super cheap, wants to come play. It's a guy that Neil's wanted for a while. It's come up Blazer trade talks forever.
Right.
Let's say we go get him. Okay. So let's say he's healthy, no more injury issues. He's plus 40% 3-point shooter, one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, plays decent defense. Okay. So Derek Jones, are you putting, these are scenarios. Are you moving Derek Jones to your bench now to start Porter?
Yeah.
Probably. I would think probably because he's a better, I don't know if he's a better defender, but he's definitely not worse. They're probably on the same level, if anything, but he definitely gives you a better shooter. He's going to shoot the three better than Jones, and Jones has been relied upon a lot to hit open threes again this year. He's been doing all right the last few weeks, but Porter's a 40-plus percenter. He's a big Gary Trent. So that puts this is one scenario, but that would put Jones on your bench. Okay, CJ Nurk coming back here in a couple weeks. So now you have Anthony, Trent, just to say Jones, Carmelo, and Cantor. So Hood's already, we've already talked about Hood probably being gone anyway. But let's just assume Hood stays for now. So he's on your bench, not getting any minutes now. And that hampers Little. So now Little's done. Like, he's just not going to get the minutes, or if he does, they're going to be in certain situations with injuries or fouls or whatever. But he's probably not getting that same run anymore, because Jones is going to be out there and he's going to play 20-plus minutes a game on the bench as your main backup wing. So that hurts him. Okay, so let's just say reverse it. It's no different if you reverse it. Let's keep Jones out there. Now you're going to have a guy like Porter coming on the bench. You have 240+% 3-point shooters coming off your bench. I mean, your lights out from three, ideally. You get a little better defensively, but again, there goes Nasir Little's. I mean, all that playing time and experience that he's been getting is pretty much gone.
Yeah, I don't know.
You care.
The only reason you do the trade is because A, you would need a person to play minutes, which we don't right now, and B, you feel like this guy's going to put you over the top, right? Like, he is the key.
Turns the needle.
And no one right now outside of, I mean, we've talked about like a John Collins trade. I would love to see John Collins on the Blazers because I think he'd plug in with Nurk or Cantor right away. Otto Porter Jr. just to me is like another Covington, another Derek Jones, another big wing defender who can shoot. Yeah, Trevor Ariza, exactly. Like, is he going to tip you over the top? Heck no. Like, he's not going to do anything better than what we already do. He's just another body. I don't see it.
Better, but yeah, I don't think offensively in the 3-point game is not our issue.
No,
I do think he helps a little bit defensively. I think he upgrades your defense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad rental. It's not a bad bring him in for the year, see how things go. Hood leaves, maybe something else happens, you try to bring him back, I guess. But I just don't want to knock right now what Little's been able to do and the experience he's getting. I'd rather just continue to groom him for that backup wing position, and eventually, ideally, be a starter. If he can shoot like he's been shooting, as he gets more comfortable, like I said, he's going to have inefficient games. He's young. He's not used to getting these playing minutes, but the more and more he's out there and the more comfortable he gets, you're starting to get that Gary Trent effect where he's going to start to get comfortable and confident. He's going to start hitting the shots like he did against Milwaukee. And really the last week when he's gotten playing time, it's been great.
Yep.
I just feel like you're cutting him out. You're cutting him out if you do that because you're getting a small forward in Porter. And that's either him or Jones are coming off the bench now. And that just pushes away what you're going to get from Little because he's not going to play the 4 because Carmelo is getting all the playing time from our bench and a lot of minutes in general. So, I don't know. I mean, it's like there's a guy in the buyout market that I'm just like, I'll go get him. Like even Drummond, he's not going to come here, but he's not going to be able to pay him enough.
Nope.
And so
he wants the Lakers.
Yeah, and he'll probably go there and great. The Lakers will win the West, and it's cool. But I don't know.
Okay. You want to tease what's happening this coming Sunday potentially? You just leave a mystery if you want.
Let's start with the upcoming games. Going to touch on those real quick, and then we can we can definitely touch on it to cap it all off with a cherry on the Sunday.
Okay, let's go through the games real quick. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's hit them. I know there's only 2 or 3. I think just 2. I think they're one's Minnesota because we have them on a back-to-back.
Okay, hold on. So we play the Suns on Thursday, March 11th. We have the Timberwolves on a back-to-back this weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, both games are at 5. They're both in Minnesota. And then that'll take us through this week. And then we start off with the Pelicans back-to-back.
So again, getting all the rest you're going to possibly get here. Can't talk to fans about how big that Phoenix game is going to be. You've already lost one, and you lost one pretty decisively. You have to even this series. They're just, I mean, now they're second in the West, but it's all teeter-tottery. It's all right there. You go on a little bit of streak and they go on a little bit of a losing streak starting with this game. Like, you could easily still catch them, but you have to keep that series close to draw that 4, 5, 3 seed range, with the two LA teams kind of being iffy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still really good, but they're 3 and 4 right now, and you're 5. So
yep.
I don't know. I feel like this is it's a huge game, and it's going to show how competitive you're going to be. You've had a lot of rest now. There's really not that many excuses as far as playing time goes. Dame's had a chance to relieve some of his burden and get let's get a little R&R time.
Yep.
I don't know. To me, that's a big game. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know how to take it. Is it here? Or is it in Phoenix?
So the Phoenix game, that's a good question. I'm pretty sure is in Phoenix. Let me look. Nope, it's at home. So we actually play that one in Portland. And then the 2 Pelicans games are at home too. So we have some home.
But yeah. Okay.
We'll see, man.
Yeah, Phoenix, Timberwolves, I mean, that's a win. You have to take that, especially with how hard this upcoming second half of the season is going to be. Yep. Even on a back-to-back, you got to knock them out twice. So we play the first one on Saturday, and then before that game, we're doing it Sunday, aren't we?
Sunday.
So
yeah.
Sunday. So that game we'll be able to recap along with the Phoenix game, and we're hopefully going to have a special guest to recap those 2 games with. What more special guests on Rip City Real Talk? Are we that cool?
Hold on, I'll do my Andy Dwyer.
I mean, you gotta be a little chubbier, but
yeah, man, we're hoping.
We're hoping to get Dia from the Dave and Dia podcast from Blazers Edge. She's agreed to come on. We'll see how the scheduling goes.
Yep.
Making sure everything lines up, but it'll be cool to have another big Blazers voice on the podcast, somebody with a ton of experience. It's pretty cool because we're celebrating women in sports, and she's one of the best to do it in the Blazers world. So we're really stoked to have her here. And I'm looking forward to it. I think she's going to bring a lot of positivity to the podcast. I mean, anybody that hasn't listened to the Dave and Dia podcast, listen to it, because she's been on a couple other shows and podcasts as well. She's great. I mean, the love of the Blazers shines through her, and it's going to be really cool to have somebody on here and continue to have that optimism with the team, break down pretty much the first half of the season. We'll just chat ball with her. We're just looking forward to talk about the Blazers, see get her takes on things, and it should be pretty fun. I'm hoping it works out. It sounds like everything's ready to roll, and we're looking forward to having our second guest here on that'd be episode 13.
Yep. Rip City Real Talk, man. That's everything we got for everyone. Hit us up with questions, and we are still doing giveaways for 100 likes and 100. What was the other one?
Well, likes and follows on Facebook is the first one. Probably going to release the coffee cup challenge again on Twitter here soon. So I'm going to probably post that. Just basically make it a retweet type of a thing. Retweet in a week, you'll get a free coffee cup if we plan things accordingly. So we'll discuss that. I'll post more on it soon. But yeah, just ask everybody, follow on Twitter, subscribe on the YouTube. If you're watching this video, if you've opened it up for 2 seconds, if you've made it all the way to the end, hats off to you. But subscribe, please. Help us out with that. You don't have to sign up for alerts if you don't want to be bugged with amazing Rip City Real Talk and analysis that we can give you. But subscribe, follow on Facebook, share with your friends. We appreciate the support that we've gotten so far. We're able to continue to get some of these guests for you guys. We're working our way up the ladder, trying to continue to bring you guys some cool content and contests and all that fun stuff. Obviously, later down the road, we'll have some cooler stuff. But yeah, again, appreciate it. Like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will talk to you guys on Sunday. Well, we'll do our recording on Sunday and talk to you then. Yeah.
Sunday. Peace out, everybody.